Hi everybody. In this video, we are going to make the twisted neck wrap. The story behind this is that I gave my Facebook group a choice of 3 or 4 different really easy, truly beginner projects to work on, because some of the projects we've been working on were maybe a little bit more intermediate, and I set up that group to teach people to crochet, so I felt like I needed to kind of go back to our roots and do some really quick, easy things to work on. This is a twisted neck wrap I made many years ago. I do not know what the name of this yarn is. I actually went to the store to see if I could find it, and it is just so many years ago that I made this, but I love the colors in it. One of the things about these wraps that I love is that this is something to use your really pretty variegated yarn on. It's not going to matter what you choose, what yarn you choose, because we're going to go by measurement on this again, like I do with most of my projects. So you can choose whatever yarn makes you happy, gives you joy. If you use a smaller yarn, I'm going to show you how to do 2 different strands together. But this is such a simple thing, and honestly, this video would probably have been like 5 minutes long, except when I asked my Facebook group what yarn they would like to see me do it in, they couldn't really decide. And one of them actually suggested, why don't you do all of them? And I thought, that's a lot of neck wraps, but you can never have too many of them. They make fantastic gifts and they're just nice to have around. So they're super easy. I think maybe depending on what yarn you choose, it could take anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe an hour and a half. They're very fast to make. So I made a bunch of them so that you could see them all. I'm excited to show this to you because it is so easy and so quick, and it's really fun. So let's get started. Okay guys, so I'm pretty sure people are still voting, but I'm pretty sure that this is the yarn that people like the most. These are my favorite colors. I love all of these colors, so I'm kind of excited to do this. So one thing I can tell you is that it is Lion Brand, it is Landscapes, and the color is Desert Spring. And such pretty colors. I'm just so excited. It asks for a K, it's a size 4 yarn, but it asks for a K hook, which is kind of a big hook for a size 4. So that's what we're gonna do and see what happens. So the original pattern for this, which I'll link in the description, actually calls for 2 size 3 yarns put together. And I'm gonna do that too, so you can see what that looks like. But I think we're just gonna do 1 strand of yarn on this one. You can do some fun stuff with this. So be creative if you want. But you can actually put, since this is a size 4, kind of a thick size 4, you could put like an eyelash yarn with it and run them both at the same time, and then you get kind of a fuzzy thing, or like one of those really tiny sparkly yarns or something. You can do all kinds of fun things with these. I've made lots of different combinations. But for this one, just to kind of make it a little bit more easy to teach, we're gonna go ahead, I can't find the beginning of this, we're gonna go ahead and just do 1 single strand of yarn on here. So we'll set that one aside. I always get 2 skeins of yarn. I don't think I'm gonna need it for this project because actually this project doesn't take very much yarn. So if you have a 1 skein that you just love sitting around somewhere, this would probably be a great project to use with that. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The first thing you wanna do is start with a slip knot. On this one, we have to chain, just because of the nature of how the construction of this goes together. It is the easiest thing that you'll probably ever make. There's only 2 little things that'll catch you up. One will be the size the width that you wanna make it, and the other one will be the twist. So a lot of people try to do the twist in there and it'll end up twisting twice, or it won't twist at all, or whatever. So once you get those 2 things done, you get the length of your chain right and you do the first round and you get your twist right. After that, it is smooth sailing and it goes so fast. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, I want to encourage you to do your chain not by number of chains, but by length, because you may choose to use a thicker yarn than I did. You may choose to use a thinner yarn. So I always tend to go more by measurement than by stitch count. The only thing on the stitch count is you want to make sure that it is a even number, so that and you'll find out why. But so my old one, if you look at this one, This looks really tiny. I mean, it really does, but when I put it on, it lays perfectly. It's right at the right area, so it doesn't like hang down, all that stuff. So it is a little tight going over your head. It's almost like putting on a hat, but then once you get it down to your neck, it's like the perfect size. You can choose to make it wider if you don't like things kind of tighter. It's not really tight, but if you don't like things up close to your neck, you could choose to make it wider. I like to be warm, so that's why I chose to have them tighter. If you look at the size on this one, you want it to actually be, it's like 10.5 sometimes 2, so it'd be like 21 inches, which is I think how it worked out to be. I felt like I needed to be just a little bit wider, so I think that I'm gonna shoot for a length of about 23 inches. Yeah, probably like 23 inches, just to make it so like around that way, halfway. Just so that it's just a little bit wider around your neck, hangs a little bit looser. But you can kind of measure around your neck where you want it to be. Just know that when you think it's a little bit tight, where it's like, if it's gonna be a little tight, this looks tiny to me. So once you put it on though, it's super like perfect, I think. But it could stand to be just like a little bit wider, maybe out to here. So anyway, so I'm gonna shoot for that, which is about 23 inches long. And then, so what I'll do is I'll get it to 23 inches and then I will count how many stitches we have just to make sure that it's an even number. The great thing about this project is that this is not about the stitch at all. It's all about the construction of the item that we're making. So you don't have to really see like a close-up of my hands or anything. Okay guys, so I'm right at about 23 inches right there, and I counted my stitches and there are 66 chains. Of course, that's gonna be different depending on what yarn you're using and how loose your chains are, but for me it's 66. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna take this end, make sure it doesn't twist. So you're gonna wanna go like, so make sure all your chains are nice and flat and it's not twisted around. And then you're gonna connect this end with this end right there with a slip stitch to join. I already love the color. Okay, so now you're gonna chain one. You're gonna skip this one because you've already got a chain up there. You're gonna skip this one and you're gonna go right into a double crochet in this chain. So go ahead and double crochet. Okay, chain one, skip that one, and go into the next one, double crochet. See, like it's making a little lattice there. So just keep doing that, skip that one, go into the next one. Keep doing that until you get to the end of the row. And then we're gonna twist it. Okay, so it should look like that. And you should have like a little kind of V coming together right there. Continue doing that until you get to the end of the row, and I'll meet you there. So here we are at the end of the row. One thing you might notice from all the colors that I chose, that my group chose from, is that they're all variegated yarns. And in life, I tend to have sort of a love-hate relationship with variegated yarns because I have a hard time finding things to make out of variegated yarns and have them look good. This particular project looks better, I think, with variegated yarns. And one of the great things about it is that when you get to this point where it's, see where you would normally like go to the top and join it, we're gonna twist it, but it automatically kind of twists on its own. And so it's this way, when you're using variegated yarn, you can tell that's the bottom and that's the top, because it'll automatically, when you get here, it'll look like that. And you'll be like, am I already twisted? So anyway, so this is a good way to tell. The other good thing is that this particular project is going to work. Once we get it twisted, it's gonna go on one side and then on the other side, and then on one side and then on the other side. It's gonna be just one big, long, continuous double crochet all the way around. You never really stop, but it feeds one side and then the other. You'll see how in a minute. But what's great about that when you're working with variegated yarn is it kind of evenly spreads out the color, which is fun because you'll have a little bit of yellow on this side, a little bit of yellow on this side, orange. So it's not really symmetrical so much, but it's close, like it feels right as a composition, I guess, is that what you should say. So one way to tell that you are in the right thing is when you lay it down, you can see that this is nice and flat. You don't want it to be flat. We're gonna twist this up like this. So you're gonna chain one and you're going to double crochet into that space right there. And it's going to make this weird kind of large square right here. Don't worry about it because you're not gonna see it when we get done. And you also can kind of cinch it up a little bit when you weave in this yarn too. So go ahead and just continue. You're gonna chain one and then double crochet, not into the chain, but into the space created by the other ones on the row before. This is actually the bottom of your chain because we twisted it. And that chain is, or that twist is not gonna become apparent until you get to like the second row. So just keep going. It's super fast. Like you can just fly through this. The double crochet, chain one double crochet thing is not necessarily the only stitch you can do for this. Like for thicker yarns, I did this with a size 6 chunky yarn, and doing double crochet was actually, it made too big of a lattice for me. So I actually did a half double crochet. With the thinner yarn, the more lacy yarn, I think I'm gonna do a V stitch, and that would be just like instead of chaining here, you just double crochet, do one side of the V, chain one, do the other side of the V, and then you continue on. So you can get creative with how you do this, but the double crochet I think is, the lattice is like the easiest stitch you can do here. So if you're a beginner and you don't want to play too much, you can just stick with that. I mean, technically you could just do chain one, single crochet. You wouldn't have very much hole, but if you want it to be a little thinner or a little more full, you can do that. If you want to make something for Christmas presents or for gifts for people, you just want to whip something up really fast and all you have is one skein of yarn, this is a perfect gift. Everyone I've ever given them to has loved them. And if you want to thicken this yarn up a little bit, you can add, you know, some kind of textury eyelash yarn or something in there if you wanted to. You know, so that you're running both strands at the same time. I'm going all the way to the end here so that you can see what happens. Okay, we're back to the beginning. Here's what's gonna happen. See how the yellow, which was what we were on the last row, see how the yellow went this way? We're gonna actually continue on this way. So we're gonna do the other side now. And it automatically does that. So as you come around the next time, it's gonna go to the other side. So it'll just keep building, but it's building this way instead of just on one side. So go ahead and grab that one and continue, keep going around the other way. And see, this was our starter line. That's our chain right there. This was the first row. This is the second row. That's the third row. It's gonna just keep building. That'll be the fourth row, then the fifth row, then the sixth row. But you are just continuing, so you never like stop. It makes it really nice. I'm gonna do one more row for you in front of the camera so that you can see the twist start to take form. And then you just keep going until you get to the height you want it to be. Eventually you'll get to the point where you won't even remember where the starting point is anymore. You'll just keep going until you get to how tall you want it. See that twist forming right there? And that's so cool. And that you just keep on going until you make it as wide, as tall as you want it. Just that natural twist in there. That's the starting point. But eventually, like I said, you're not even gonna be able to really even see that anymore. You'll kind of go, where was my starting point? So it's pretty cool. I'm just gonna keep going, and then I'm gonna show you how tall I'm gonna make it. You can make it as tall or as skinny as you want it to be. I kind of like them to be sort of tall just because then they sort of, especially with this one because it's a little bit thinner. That might be what they were complaining about, the other one. Because the yarn is a little thinner than some of the other yarns I've used in the past. So it's nicer for it to be tall because then when it scrunches down, it makes it nice and thick. Okay, so there's the beginning point, and see how the orange was where we were last time, and now we're gonna go back on top of that yellow, and it's just gonna keep going like that. It's just this sort of cool phenomenon that happens. So, having said that, I'm gonna bring back my original. This one is approximately, let's do it on the back, approximately like 10 inches long, or 10 inches tall. You know, with this one, since the yarn is, see how this is so much thicker and this one's a little thinner, I might go 12 inches tall on this, just so when it scrunches down, it has a lot more yarn there, and it's just thicker and fluffier. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then I'll meet you at the end to show you how to end it. And then I have some surprises. Maybe I'll show you how to end a few different ones. Oh my gosh, guys, look at these colors. I just love this yarn. This is like, wow, these are all my favorite colors in one yarn. This is the original spot where we started, so you can see it expanded out this way as we were going. I'm at about 12 inches, and this is all I have left, and I was so tempted to just keep going and finish it because those are really pretty colors, but I decided that the taller you go, you see how it kind of cinches in more on top and the bottom. It's probably better for me to stop here instead of, because it probably would take it out to here, and that might be just a little bit too wide. It'll start to kind of make a weird shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to finish this one. And it's pretty simple, and it doesn't have to be in any particular spot. Just once you get to the area that you feel like it's tall enough, you don't have to try and find the middle again, because good luck, you're not gonna really find it very easily. So you just wanna do your chain one, just like I already did. But instead of doing a double crochet here, you wanna do a half double crochet, and then do your chain one, and then on the next one, do a single crochet. And then I just go into this stitch right here and just slip stitch it off. So it just kind of gradually gets smaller so that it kind of just blends in. And then you chain up one. And cut it. Save that for a small project. Those are such pretty colors. And then you just weave in your ends, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay guys, so this one is, they need an end size hook because this is a super bulky yarn. And instead of doing the double crochet, I'm doing a half double because these spaces were really big when I was doing it. I'm like, I don't really want the spaces to be quite that big. So you can modify it to do whatever looks good with the yarn. And this is the Wool Ease Thick and Quick Stripes in, what is the color? Hudson Bay. Super cute. My daughter wants this one. But I'm finding that it's only taking one skein to do this, which means since I bought two skeins, I might be able to make one for me. So here's how I finished this one. We wanted it to kind of finish very gradually. So when I went over here and did the half double, chain one, half double, chain one, half double, chain one, and then I did just a single crochet, and then I just did a slip stitch into the beginning of that chain right there, and then I just chained one to finish it off and cut it. So that one is done. Oh, so cute. Okay guys, so this one I did so much differently because I just knew I was gonna fall madly in love with this yarn. This is Yarnspirations Bernat Symphony. So this one asked for a K, and I just wanted it to be looser than that. Because I knew it was just gonna be kind of big and yummy. And I also made it wider than my other ones too. So as far as this one goes, because I knew that this was, I wanted it to hang lower and just kind of all over the place instead of up close next to my neck. So I think I did 28, I might have done 29 on this one in width. 28. Yeah, I think it was 28. And this one we just did even number stitches, and instead of doing just one stitch in the middle, which was our double crochet, I did something similar to what we did on the market bags, which is kind of this like petal. So when I started off on the main row, so this is the main row right here, you can see that that petal actually has a point to it and then comes out and then has a point. You can continue to do that. I thought about continuing to do that, but how you get that look is that you do all 3 of those stitches in the chain, in the same chain, right? And you can do that up here as you get further out by doing the same thing. You just have to go into the chain and it holds them all together like that. So you can have like a point to point kind of look. But I wanted to go faster since I'm doing like 5 or 6 of these, but also I just like putting it in that space instead. So what ends up happening is the center one has point to point, and then the ones working their way out, it looks like little, almost like petals going out. So I like the look of it. It's kind of a granny stitch, sort of, and I'm just so in love with this. So I wanted to show you, see, isn't that so pretty? So excited. So I'll just want to show you really quickly how that stitch works. And then I'll show you, when I get to the end, I'll show you how I finish it off, because you kind of want to sort of taper it down so it's not like a chunk at the end. So what you do is you just wrap it like you're going to do a double crochet, and you are basically going to do a double crochet, but you're going to do 3 of them, and then you're going to toggle it together. I call it toggling it together, but it's actually just 3 double crochets together. So you go through 1, don't do the second one, leave it there, wrap it, go through the next one. So now you have 2 basically halves of a double crochet on there, and then do a 3rd one. And so now you have 4 yarns on your hook. This is the chain we started off with, and then the 3 half of a double crochet on there, and then you're going to wrap it and pull through all 3, and that brings them together. So you increased, you added 2 stitches on there, and then you decreased it all down to 1 stitch, and that is how I did that, just to kind of give it a little bit more thickness and texture, because I knew I was going to love this yarn and I wanted to see more of it. So I'm going to do the next one. Go through 1 set, wrap it, go through 1 set, wrap it, go through 1 set. So now you have 4 yarns on there, 4 loops on your hook, and then you wrap it and you go through all 4 of them, just like that. And then you chain it to lock it, and then you chain it again for the space that you're going over. We'll do it one more time. Go through 2. That, wrap it, go through all 4, chain it to hold it, and then chain it again to jump over this one and go into this space. Sound cool? Oh my gosh, I just love this. This one might be my favorite one. I love the colors. It screams pumpkin patch to me. Or Christmas, really. It could go either way. Could be going to get your tree cut this year and wear that, but. Okay, so it's not quite 12 inches tall. Some of my other ones I've made to be 12 inches tall, and this one is like 11 and a half, or maybe 11, but I feel like it's kind of color-wise come to a natural time to finish it, because the colors sort of match a little bit right there, instead of it being like white on top of brown or something, because then, you know, that actually shows a lot. So it's better if it kind of blends in, for me anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it down, and to do that I'm basically going to make a smaller one. So basically what I'm going to do is to put 3 stitches together and have them be smaller. I'm going to do a half double crochet, but that means I can't pull through. So what I want to do is wrap, pull it up, wrap, pull it up. So you have 3 sets on there, so that'll mean you have 7 stitches, right? or 7 loops, and then you just wrap it and pull through all 7. So you're essentially, you made 3 half double crochets and then you squished them together. Kind of like a bobble stitch. And then the next one, we're just going to slip stitch into that to join it. And then chain 1 to lock it. And then you just cut your yarn and weave in your ends. Hey guys, so for this one, it's a little bit different. It's actually more like an original. When I first started making these, I was going off of a pattern, and the pattern's a little hard to read and understand for something that's so simple, but I'm going to link it in the description so you can get to it if you want to. But originally, she said to use 2 size 3 yarns together. So that's what I'm doing here. Because these are so tiny by themselves, they probably would make just a teeny tiny little lacy thing, and I didn't really want that. I wanted it to be a little thicker, so I did exactly what she said. And I did the stitch a little differently on this one. I started off with the chain in the middle, like everybody, like we did with all the other ones. And then I did a V-stitch instead of doing just the double crochet, just to kind of make it feel and look a little fuller, and just kind of give it a different look than the other ones. But there's a couple different ways you can do a V-stitch. You can actually stack the V's on top of each other, but in this case, I chose to do them in between. So like every other, how do you say that? So I offset my V's. So like I'm going to in between the V's instead of in between the center of the V, if that makes sense. On a V-stitch, basically you're just, you're not doing like a chain or anything right there. You're just gonna hop over the previous V, go in between those 2, and then you're gonna pull up a loop. Well, sorry, you're gonna actually do a double crochet in between these 2 V's. So hopefully you can see that. There's a V here and there's a V here. I'm going in between where there's no chain. Sometimes if you want, you can stack them so that you go right where the chain is, but I'm choosing to offset. So we're gonna go over here and do 1 double crochet and then chain 1 and then do another double crochet in the same space as the last one. And that's what gives you your V stitch. There's lots of different ones to choose from, but that's how I'm doing this one. Anyway, so I will continue doing this around until we get to about the width that I want, and then I'll show you how to finish it. To be honest, I'm not sure how I'm gonna finish it, so that'll be fun. Okay guys, so I don't think I told you at the beginning, but on this one, I did a different size on this one too. I kind of wanted to give you some options. So my other ones that I made were skinnier. They were like 11 inches on one side, or 22 inches total, 23 inches I think. This one, I actually went up to 26 inches on it, just because honestly, I actually went to 30. And then I took it back because I was like, okay, that's way too big. So I took it back and started over. But I think I like this sort of medium size. So that's how this one looks. Isn't that pretty? I love the colors on that. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to finish this one. I was getting ahead of myself. This is about, I think this turned out to be right around 12 inches, but I almost went too far because my daughter and I have been learning homesteading stuff, just kind of, you know, for fun, and because she wants to have a homestead someday. Yeah, 11 and a half, almost 12 inches. And I was upstairs watching videos about how to make homemade extracts. So I was totally into that, and I was crocheting at the same time, and I just kept going, and I almost made it way too big. So, I mean, not that that's a big deal, but because I could have undone it, or I could have just enjoyed a bigger scarf. But anyway, so let's finish this V. And then what you want to do is for your next one, I'm going to do, so the in-between size between a double crochet and a single crochet is a half double crochet. So we'll do a half double crochet here, just kind of like slowly bring it down. And then I don't think we really need to, like, you know, do a single crochet one because it's not really going to make that much of a difference. So I would just go ahead and, oops, let's try that again. I would just go ahead and slip stitch it to finish it, right? Because that's a nice like gradual finish to that. And then you just chain 1 to lock it, and then bring it up and cut it, and go ahead and weave in your ends. That was a long tail. I didn't mean to do that. But I still actually have a lot of yarn left on these, so I could actually make a really like, I don't know, I'll make something else to go with it. Maybe I'll make, our next project is going to be pumpkins. And although a lot of people like their pumpkins to be orange and cream and stuff like that, last year I made pumpkins for my kids. One was green and black for my son, and then my daughter wanted one that was navy and yellow and white. So just to kind of go with her decor. So your pumpkins can be any color you want, and that's our next project. So it should be fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and weave in my ends on this. I like how that turned out. One thing I can tell you that you guys are going to notice, especially the people who have been crocheting with me for a while now, I usually use a foundation chain or a foundation row instead of a chain. And the reason for that is a chain doesn't have a lot of give to it. And you're going to notice right in the middle of these, when we used our chain to start, there is no give in the middle, but there is a lot of stretch on both sides. So you get kind of this hourglass sort of shape going on there. And it's fine. I don't mind as long as it's not tight on one side and then like stretching on the other side. That's the stuff that bothers me. But if you don't like that firm middle line, you could maybe figure out how to do a foundation row in the middle there. I kind of wanted to keep the chain just because I like that you can't really tell where it starts and stops. And they say that you can do a foundation row for any stitch. So if somebody wants to give that a shot and show me some pictures on our Facebook group, that would be awesome, because I would love for people to learn how to do that. But I wanted to keep it very simple for this video because I wanted this to be a truly beginner project that anybody can do. And I think that this one definitely qualifies. It's very, very easy. Lots of different ways to modify it and make it your own. Don't you just love those colors? Anyway, I'm gonna finish this and then I'm gonna try them all on for you. Okay, here's the first one. This is the one my daughter's taking from me. I may have to make another one, except that I have all of these, so why would I make more? But I just love the feel of it. It's really thick, and it's gonna be so fun and warm. Next. Okay, this is the landscapes one. This is the one that I did on camera. I love these colors. And as you can see, it's a little bit thinner than the last one, but it still fits like right here, which is for me kind of perfect. So, ready for the next one? Are you guys noticing that my hair is getting a little more messy with each change of the scarf? This is the bigger one that I made. I love this yarn. I just can't get over it. It's just so like snuggly and comfortable. It's definitely bigger, hangs lower. That's just because I made it wider. So, okay, here comes the next one. Okay, I have to say, I love them all pretty equally. I love all the colors. They're gonna go with every outfit. I kind of feel like I should give one away though. So, I don't know, what should we do to give one away? There should be a contest of some kind. Join me on Facebook, on our Facebook group. It's called Ginell's Quarantine Crochet. And help us figure out what we're gonna do. Maybe I can give some of the stuff. I'm making so much stuff for these videos. It would be nice to give some of it away. This is the bonus one. So I knew I didn't want to do this one on camera because this is the homespun yarn in the Lion brand, which is one of my favorites. It's the same yarn I used for the pocket shawl. So I'm super excited about that, but I knew that it probably wouldn't record very well. It was hard to look at on the camera. So I just went ahead and made one just for fun. So I actually ended up making 5 scarves. But like I said, they take very little time and they're so much fun to make that, I mean, if you want to like watch a Netflix series and just make a whole bunch of them, they're fantastic gifts. So easy. I love them. So this is our next project. If you're interested, we're going to be making some little stuffed pumpkins. Super cute. Different colors. You can do whatever colors you want. You can do whatever sizes you want. And I'm going to show you how to modify them and make them how you want them to be. And then we're also going to make these cute little pumpkin coasters too, just for fun. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and make sure you subscribe so that you know when that video is ready. Yay! Thank you so much for watching. I enjoy doing these videos for you guys, and I hope that you're enjoying them too. See you next time.